It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, and the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. Rangers baseball coming up at 6:30 right here on Double T 97.3. Clint, Gus, and Brennan, you can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line, just like T-Money did. Hey guys, you're here as well. We must be heathens, as the rapture was supposed to be today.
Oh, is that right?
I kind of just half read whatever the story was. Like some guy had like a near-death experience or something and said that we were gonna. I don't know. I saw that was supposed to be today too. Hey, there's still time. Still time. Only 3:31. This on the chat line. Scott said, "Good afternoon, guys." Our psychic, our resident psychic. He didn't know he was being a psychic though with his question yesterday. Yeah, but I was with you. When he asked it, I was thinking the same thing, because I thought if they were going to, to make that decision, the way that sometimes you have fan anger momentum, and they're not the ones that make the final say, but sometimes you get that, whereas like if there's going to be any sort of support when it's going to be a bad season, we do it for a little bit for that, but also for, in the president or AD's eyes, the good for the program, whatever, right? Oklahoma State's in a tough spot right now.
Yep.
And it was going to be in a tough, awkward spot just because of who they were letting go. I just thought if it happened after Tulsa, it would have been a lot quicker. He's certainly not the first coach to get through his next week media availability and then get fired.
That's true.
Can think of a certain other situation. But I when Scott asked that question yesterday, I was thinking the same thing. Like, okay, well, if he does get fired mid-season, what's in the decision maker's mind? What is that record? What's the game? Like, what are they looking for? And for what it's worth, I think Pete Nakos was the one that had it originally. They had said originally that it was their intention to let him coach out the rest of the season. Well, 24 hours later, that is not the case, obviously. So, I don't know. Just who knows what all went down in those conversations behind closed doors. But either way, there will be, for sure, here's one, Gus, for sure, a new coach in the Big 12 next season. Doug Meacham, by the way, yes, that Meacham, if you didn't know who was his offensive coordinator, is going to be the interim. And that is... So we'll be calling the shots when they come here to the Jones in
a month.
In a month, yeah.
Kind of the fairly predictable type of hire as the interim. Guy, been a head coach before, coordinator, just stabilizing things.
Stephen Pearl was taken. So.
Sure.
Yeah. I would guess, regardless of who they bring in, that coach is probably going to clean house.
Yeah.
On staff.
Well, they've turned over some coordinators in the last couple rotations.
Yeah. I'm obviously interested of what their, or whoever the coaching list is going to be for like potential hires. I feel like a Jeff Traylor and a G.J. Kinney are just naturally going to be in that conversation and deserve to be. I'm interested in like Ben Arbuckle, who's in the same state.
Sure.
Calling some plays for the Sooners. Like I was talking about yesterday, really interested in Colin Klein over at A&M.
Yeah, and developing news over the last few minutes, really since the show started. Will Ben Arbuckle look as smart as he does right now? Mm-hmm. Because Mateer's having hand surgery is going to miss a chunk.
Yeah, that? At least a couple weeks, right? Yeah. Or it was like uncertain when he'll be back, but at least a couple games.
So if that thing starts clicking without Mateer, then we are gonna go, man. That Arbuckle's genius. And then without Materi, you might go, you know, like, and that, which isn't entirely fair. But again, it's one of those things that, you know, that prisoner of the moment stuff can look big. You're like, hey, are we gonna be able to sell this to the fan base? I don't know. Materi got hurt and they got smoked twice. You know, and again, I'm not playing crystal ball there, but boy, Materi's been good, and you know, if so.
You know who's another name that is really interesting, that is, you know, relatively in the area, over at North Texas.
Absolutely.
How about Eric Morris? And he should be in the mix for that sort of stuff.
Arkansas is going to be looking too, dude.
I know.
I mean, Arkansas and Oklahoma will be. I'm not saying they will go after all the same people, but they're going to have a few of the same traits in mind.
Well, it is interesting just from a regionality standpoint. And this is where regionality does still exist in sports, where I do think that there's something to, you know, a coach that, I mean, doesn't know the landscape well, and it's like, boy, I could read this place like the back of my hand. Like, I don't even need a map, like that sort of thing, but just has the feel of the area, because usually that and the program go hand in hand. That goes better with who you're recruiting in that area. That goes better with the fan base who's going to be pulling for you. So it is interesting, I'm with you, that if Arkansas, when Arkansas opens up, that them being in the same hiring cycle would be looking at a very similar list of candidates, I would think.
Yeah, I would think so too. And Morris being on both of those wouldn't surprise me at all. Because you know, he's going to run some tempo type offense or up. You know, he's not bringing in some wishbone deal that's going to, you know. So there will be an instant appeal in that regard, and it feels like he's got. I don't want to say the magic touch, but he's had a pretty good touch with a variety of different quarterbacks. The one who's starting for Tennessee Titans.
I want to say what did we do? Jam Ward, right? That's right.
Yeah. Cam Ward. There was another one. I'm going blank on this, but yeah, you know, he's getting some love, and then they beat the tar out of Washington State in a way that you go, man, these dudes are, you know, rolling.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Tulsa and Oklahoma State swapping head coaches. What a start for him. It's the fourth youngest head coach on the FBS level, and then for your like first big win, lead Tulsa to a victory over Oklahoma State in Stillwater when it hadn't been done since 1950 whatever, and however many tries they've had to do it. You understand why that streak has been such, but still, to be like early on in your tenure there, like to the Texers' point, that is one of those kind of skyrocket sort of wins.
Sure. But those are the kind of wins that allow athletic administrators to dream a little bit, right?
And the current one for Trey Lamb to sweat over a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, how are we going to keep this dude?
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
The little whine noises.
Yeah.
Fun fact, not actually Axl Rose. They had Dr. Mike Gustafson step into the studio, and that's the only thing he did.
Okay.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, and the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. A little bonus Tech Talk today as we go to 6:30, leading up to Rangers baseball. We are live from the First United Bank studio.
Hello.
And featuring also Gus's phone. We got this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Houston fans are confident their defense will be able to contain our offense and that Wegman will throw all over our defense. It's shocking.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You know what's interesting is
they're a lot better at quarterback this year, so you can imagine that they would be.
Well, their whole offense feels a lot better.
You can imagine that they would have a little more swagger than what they had the last couple of years.
The reason, one, they're popping off is because there's a really good shot. I mean, I really think there's a shot that you have an equal amount of your crowd in that game. There's like a link going around for like
some band reunion or something.
Yeah, and like you were getting that link sent there. Plus, you have, I mean, you've got alumni in the Houston area, so I mean they can find their own. You know, they don't have to worry about trying to find like a backdoor way. By the way, those got taken down. That link got taken down real fast, and so because of it, and they're not the most vocal fan base, but they're a lot more vocal whenever, Tech is playing. I get it. That's a good thing to be in. And also you just kind of have a standing thing with Tech in Houston. But again, a good thing. Because of that, I have seen what that texter saying a lot of like smack talk towards the Red Raiders and that sort of stuff. Our offense is going to throw for all these yards. You're not going to gain anything, yada, 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 yada. And I just kept going back to, don't you guys have another game this week?
Yeah, that's exactly right. A road game.
And I know, especially we saw it here.
Kind of a lengthy trip, too.
As much as we made the joke, like, hey, we're not looking past Oregon State.
Right.
Like, I haven't seen one mention of Oregon. I get it. Oregon State's not very good. But I think that's really interesting. So you guys know you have another game on the schedule before that game happens. We can focus on you all we want. We're on an open week.
No social media chatter around that. The Beaver fans probably aren't on the bulletin boards getting after it with the.
Yeah, you would think it's hard to at 0-4.
Fans, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm picking Houston to win that game, and should handle that game pretty well unless Oregon State magically figures out something they haven't in the first 4 weeks, but still. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I think Ben Arbuckle is from Canadian.
Mm-hmm. He is. He's from out here.
And Canada's in the danger zone.
I mean, there would be some appeal. Imagine him and Eric Morris will get some interviews this year.
Yeah, I would think so. And I've already talked about him, but it's because I want to spite another fan base. I know the one that I hope happens.
You want Kansas
I want
State.
Colin Klein.
Yes.
The thing is, I think he's going to be a good head coach. But it would also, here's twofold. I think Texas A&M's offense looks really good with him in charge. As much as I hate to give them credit.
So
we'll see.
You want to stop that.
I want to stop that.
Yeah.
And then now, granted, they still have Mike Elko, who I think is a good coach, who would be in charge. But anything that I can take away from them, I would love to. So I would love to take that away.
Okay.
And then it would also enrage the Kansas State fans who are so done with Kleiman and just anticipate the next head coach of Kansas State being Colin Klein. Oh, that'd be beautiful, Gus.
Yep.
The meltdowns.
Yep. Sometimes those things just never really time out correctly. There's probably a lot of folk. Of course, it hadn't come to fruition, but it felt like we were really close to it. But Grant McCaslin to Baylor is something a couple of years ago. It felt like they were trying to time that up right, and it's like, man, he seems pretty happy here, and he's well taken care of. Just some of that, and we could probably go through countless examples of where you try to make those things line up, and we never had an opening when you were looking, right? When you were available, there were
star-crossed lovers.
Yeah, there were some points along the way that I would have thought, especially going back, that hey, Sonny Dykes is going to be back here at some point.
Yeah,
and then but the openings never really lined up. He was off doing good things elsewhere, and just never really came to being. And now we're fine, obviously, at this point without him. So, and wish him well, but wish him well most of the time.
President Aggie said, "Thanks, Viking." Hey, it was a compliment because I really do think that they're putting together some pretty impressive stuff right now over at A&M. Like if you said who's the better Texas SEC team, which one are you taking right now?
Well, that'd be those two getting together when they're both decent, have something riding on it. That's a big game. A lot of eyeballs, a lot of juice. Both of those stadiums get really, really crammed, and yeah.
I think just kind of looking at the side view at you mentioned the SEC named their three opponents, and they're a little bit different, for each one, the way it's lined up. Texas was the most interesting because they had A&M, Oklahoma, and Arkansas on there. I mean, SWC over there in the SEC. That was interesting.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, and the Double T 97.3 mobile app. Brought to you by our friends at Happy State Bank. In 15 minutes, we'll tell you what's going on. This from Jay. Congratulations to Luddy for making the Ryder Cup team. Yeah, no doubt. Mm-hmm. Mark from Olive Branch had this. I was at that game. Also a freshman then. Reeves came in, and the student section went crazy. There was some question whether it was because he was from Lubbock or the drunks, drinking age was 18, thought Rodney Allison had returned.
That's funny. Yeah, that clip did a nice job of spelling that out, because I remember when it happened, we had just moved to Lubbock, but didn't know the personalities, just kind of all the backstory. I just remember a freshman from Lubbock came in and and did good things, and it was, everyone was buzzing over that, and but he also laid it out too, because he was like, yeah, Tress Adamy was the backup, and he's more of a running guy, and back in those days you'd kind of have some of those, especially when everything was so option based. You would have the running quarterback, and this was a little bit better at throwing. It wasn't uncommon to have that follow some skill sets and some traits. Like Ron says, they were playing from behind, so I got the call. Here we go.
Coach Gus, that's 2 days in a row. I think that you've said horses patoot.
Yeah, I'm trying to clean it up. Well, just terrestrial radio. The FCC is concerned about the stuff that would really be concerned if the stuff that popped into my mind got all the way out of my mouth hole. I'd be in trouble.
You're a bleeping bleeper.
Clint, I bet you make your wife proud a lot. I know that's not sarcastic, T-Bone. I appreciate that. Gus, let me ask you this. Obviously coming off of a big win in Utah, and now you are in the bye week, and you get to
watch the young guys practice.
You get to watch the young guys practice. You also get to watch the rest of the Big 12 this week a little bit close, without the stress of like a game yourself.
Sure.
Before we turn the page into that, I do want to ask you a couple more of your thoughts on the win. And one was, what did you think of your offensive line as a whole?
Oh, probably the whole offense probably can't get as good a grade as we want to give it, or as I want to give it, just because of all the pre-snap junk. I mean, they dug themselves so many holes. It was okay. I mean, it's probably a passing grade, given the result. All of a sudden, remember you and I talking about, hey, if that number's got a 3 in front of it, we should be okay. Well, you got it to a 3.
Yeah.
Now, the last little bit came at garbage time. Played a whole lot of that game with no real. I don't think any of us were sitting there thinking, oh yeah, we got this 3 wrapped up. And if you'd have told me, hey, we're gonna get to a 30 at the end of the third quarter, I would have gone, which punt return are we running back? Which kick return are we running back? What pick six, thick six, what scoop and score, what's going on here? And it didn't work out that way. It ended up the 24
especially if I
points.
told you on top of it, hey, you're going to have 4 turnovers, you would have went, one of those was a
right. Yeah,
was a score.
something's or we're going to run something down to the 4-yard line, score on the next play or something. But that, yeah. So I think the whole operation settled down, offensive line included, and once they settled down, they played better. But that was their. I mean, there was a sack. The running game. I mean, nothing was on tilt. But you also have to look at that opponent and go, I think Utah's pretty good defensively. I think they are. I think I want them to go do okay. I don't need them to go 11-1. But just the idea of them, affirming some things that we hope we saw. I don't know that it's a great offensive team, but I know that they wanted to run the ball, and I know that they couldn't do it.
I think I still think that could be the best defensive front that you see, at least in the Big 12. And granted that that could change if you see Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game if like that happens, because I think they're in contention for that too. But for your offensive line, again, this is the big if. If you take out all of the pre-snap mistakes and you look at just what they did on the field, I actually thought they did a really good job. I mean, Barron had some time. You have, like you said, you've got the one big sack, but even then, it's not like he was in there in under 2.5 seconds.
No.
And so, honestly, I walked away from Utah with your offensive line extremely encouraged. Like, I think, again, the big if is they have to, and they know this, and I mean, this was the first we've seen this. It's not like it happened in the home games too. But you can't, if you run into a bad environment, or a good environment, I should say, you have to have some of whatever was happening figured out. I mean, when it got past 5 was like truly ridiculous face of why are we doing the same thing
And it carried into the third quarter.
And that's the other thing,
that was the key. I mean, the very first thing that happened when Hammond stepped onto the field was another one. Just say, it's not personal. Like the first thing he did was come in on whatever it was, 3rd and 18, and he's going to run or 3rd and 13, whatever the number was, and he was going to run a QB draw. Hang on, we're gonna jump here. Let's go back it up. But that thing obviously settled down as the game went on, and who knows? The beauty of it is Coach McGuire saying, "Hey, we'll get that fixed. We have a plan for that," and so that's. You can live with that.
Yeah.
It's not just log rolling those guys for a week and abusing them for jumping off sides. It's like, no, we're gonna change the way we deal with that.
I'm not like worried about that moving. Now, if it happens again in Houston, that's one thing.
Yeah,
I don't think it will.
Absolutely.
But I look at like your defensive line. I thought dominated their offensive line. Your offensive line, I think, won more battles than they lost against their defensive line, and I think that is, I think it's kind of an underrated victory that we haven't talked about. But also the other part is when you, again, put in all the laundry, I understand why you wouldn't just go like, A+ from from them. But they also outlasted that defensive line. That's why towards the end they were gassed, and your offensive line didn't look that way.
Agree. I mean, at some point there's a toll to us having the ball and them not having it.
Mm-hmm. True. It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
The third hour is now called the Danger Zone. Welcome to Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Thanks for joining us. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Brennan Riker behind the glass taking care of us.
You got the Danger Zone part of that right.
We're live from the First United Bank studio. Rangers baseball, 6:30 tonight. We'll lead you up to it. Hit us up on the H Flooring Center chat line. You can also call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. If you would like to watch us, you can do that on Fox 34 News Now, YouTube, Facebook. And you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just look up Double T 97.3. Let's get a couple more thoughts from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. T-Bone said, hey guys, just nitpicking, but I think our O-line still needs work to be really good, but it was much better than last year. Yes, I don't think you're anywhere near a finished product with your offensive line, but I also do think you can see that it is performing better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there was once they got out of their own way and with the pre-snap stuff, it because I mean, just to be able to run the ball, a little bit, keep the quarterback clean, because our quarterbacks weren't harassed. I mean, there was a play here or there, but I think that's going to happen. I know there's some grades that can kind of get thrown out around there. I don't know that they're from within the room, within our own coaching staff that's doing that, but some of those publicly available, I guess if you're a member of PFF and those type things, and who knows what's good and what's not, whatever. But how did that grade out? I can guarantee you this: it probably graded out better than Utah's offensive line.
It's still
theirs was the more heralded group.
It's still someone, I can't remember who, but somebody said to me that it felt like you made them look like them being the tackles specifically,
right,
that they were undraftable. And I don't know if it was that bad, but those are legit first-round dudes that you made them had a bad day. You made them have a day that not very many, if any, teams are going to consistently do. You might have a player on one side, but to have that across the board was really, really impressive. And in my mind,
I agree.
Your next few games are really interesting, Gus, because if you're looking at it from just your defense and not like team versus team, but just your defense versus their offense, if I had to label them, this is how I would, because if you're going the 4-game stretch that you just started with Utah, I think Utah is the most physical offense that you'll see. I think Houston has the most unknown about it. I think Kansas has the most explosive tendencies, and then Arizona State has championship pedigree. And I don't know which of the 4 will end up going, well, that was the best overall offense, because they all have their holes, they all have their weaknesses, but they also all have their strengths. And so the biggest strength for Utah, you took away and made them feel like a horrible offense. And Gus, that same team could go into Morgantown for Utah and run for 200 plus and have a big day.
I would think that they're that's what they have in mind.
Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm interested in, the like week by week.
Yeah.
Which position group's going to be the most under the most pressure, and this week it was 100% the defensive line, and they answered the bell in about as good of a way as you could have.
I listened to Coach Whittingham's presser from, I believe it was his media availability. If it wasn't first thing this morning, it was yesterday. And it was a lot of the reset type stuff that you would expect to hear. Some post-game evaluation, a little bit of that, but the whole, we're on to the next thing and talking about West Virginia and whatnot, that he was very clear in his assessment that, hey, we got to run the ball. we didn't do that. Which is no surprise. We know that that's part of their DNA, and we know that it didn't take a genius to figure out that they couldn't do much in that part of the game.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Give me your opinion. Will there be a problem on which Tech quarterback will play at the next game? No, I don't think so.
Will there be a problem? Is that what the question?
Yeah. Yeah, will there be I think saying, will there be a problem of deciding who they're going with or anything like that? I mean,
the idea of them
That's
both,
how I took it anyway.
Yeah, the idea of them both taking snaps and, it doesn't surprise me, but the thought of them being 50-50, I assume probably not. I mean, Coach McGuire seemed like a lot of that stuff was sort of hinted in the post-game Saturday, and certainly
I think he flat out nipped it in
the
the bud.
He nipped it immediately, like we're not going down that road. Now, I think having 3 quarterbacks is a really good thing, and 2 quarterbacks at the caliber we have that are, we have three quarterbacks capable of leading this roster to victory. Now, I don't know that all 3 of them are going to go 12-0. Any one of them, if we handed them if we took our number 3, if it was Griffiths leading us to the national championship game, I don't know. Would he be a contributor? Quite possibly. He runs around and seems to create some problems. But I think the take on this so far has just been, hey, we've got 2 really good quarterbacks, and there's some skill sets in there, and everybody's still locked in on what it takes to go win games. You know what I mean? Like, there was just no. Yeah,
I do think, I don't know if it's going to be.
Could Barron stink it up and get benched? Yeah, I think so. But is that going to happen between now and next Saturday? I doubt it.
I do we can put a pin in this because I want to talk about it a little bit more.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Ask Tech Talk is brought to you by Visual Edge IT. Give us your questions on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Clint, Gus, and Brennan. We got this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Did y'all hear what the draft guys said about the game? I heard McShay, he was very impressed with Tech's guys.
Good. Love it.
I saw one mock draft today that had David Bailey 15th, I think.
Love it.
It was in the top 20.
That's awesome.
But, we talked about this going into the game, specifically with the offensive line and defensive line, that if an individual player or, really your whole defensive line could have this, but if an individual player had a really stellar day or won some battles, that if one of those guys like a David Bailey in this year's draft, when he gets his name called, that I would expect some of his, you're going to still see some Stanford film. You're going to see film throughout his career, but I would venture to guess you're going to see film from that game. And
100%.
I don't think you're going to see that on the other side, because I still think Lomu, still think Fano, they're going to be drafted in the first round, or at least one of them will be. I don't know if they're in their highlight package, if they're using this game as film.
Well,
which is a good thing, because it
sure.
means you made them look not like that.
There might have been a play in there where they, there's probably something that happened in there where he had plenty of time to throw, but yeah, by and large, you're not getting a reel of highlights there, and that is an interesting thing to think about. You would think if he did a good job at some point in pass blocking, I'm sure he did. I'm sure both those tackles did at some point. I mean, it wasn't just a complete bum rush. That there would be points along the way that you would go, hey, here he is blocking against another first-round pick, and Bailey, and holding his own. Maybe some run block. I don't know. I'm with you.
But you would have
There's not as much.
You would have to scour through it.
Absolutely. Perfect. Especially on the run block side.
Yeah, sure, man.
I mean, unless the dude next to him was just getting his behind kicked all day.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. So now that Utah has been denied, how do the offensive and defensive lines match up with Houston? I mean, what I think about Houston, what Fritz is trying to do, is they have a lot of similar concepts to what Whittingham likes. And I think that's a good way to, it's not one for one, but I think they're trying to play a physical brand of football. And defensively, they did that last year. They have got a lot of new guys. Offensively, Wegman is certainly mobile enough. Maybe not to, whenever we just use the phrase running quarterback, he's not that. I don't think he's an elite passer, but he's a much better passer than what you just saw. But I think overall talent-wise, when you're looking at the trenches, I don't think that they're near as good as Utah.
Right.
We'll see. It's hard to tell with them. I think I go with, there's some unknown about them overall, because you can tell that offensively they're better. Defensively, they've had a good year. Maybe not quite as good as last year's unit, but they had so much turnover, including a defensive coordinator. It's going to be hard to do that. But you also look and I think you can play a bad opponent and tell that a unit is good, bad, gotten better, gotten worse.
Sure.
But just like with your team that you were trying to gauge, it's like, okay, well, just how good or just how bad or just how much better. And Houston has a little bit of that. The biggest thing for them is they have a Big 12 win at home, but you also go, okay, well, what's Colorado though? I can't tell where they're going to stack up in the Big 12. Was that a really good win for them? Was that just a Big 12 win for them, and that's always a good thing? So I look at this week, this Friday, and I don't know how much more you're going to learn in Corvallis.
I am anxious for the game. Hopefully games, but the first game where our pass rush just wrecks people. Mm-hmm. I mean, to the tune of what Auburn did this weekend. OU did to Auburn, 10 sacks. Mm-hmm. 10 would be great, and I'm not saying that it'd be great if that was to happen this coming weekend, especially not in just some Pine Bluff level game. Obviously, we don't have any of those type, but just if some game gets out of hand and we're racking up sacks, that'll be great. We'll all enjoy it. But a game where we're just sucking the life out of somebody.
Yeah.
That's I'm ready for that to happen because it's already been disruptive. But I'm ready for that game where we're just
I'm there.
A couple sacks a quarter. Great.
T-Money. Let's get a couple more here. T-Money said McGuire should just put all the starters on the questionable list. Player A didn't sleep well last night. Player B ate too many tacos and was in the restroom.
In a fight with his girlfriend.
Yeah, player C had a breakup with his girlfriend.
Oh, there we go. Nice. I wasn't even looking at that.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Paolo said, did you guys catch the praise from Herb Street and Fowler on their broadcast Saturday night for Texas Tech? Kind of gave me chills.
I did not.
You were a national story, and so yes. I think you were mentioned a lot with just how you ended up winning that game. Well, and really like defensively how you looked at that.
Bullying them in the way that few have done. I mean, if you're going to beat Utah one way, it's usually not like pounding them at the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. And plus just the other part of that narrative, the other part of that of all of this is the portal and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like because everyone was able to sort of go, hey, yeah, but they didn't play anybody. Not that they were doubting it, just wanting to see it, like wanting to see it in action, wanting to see it against somebody good. And there you go, you got the chance. And so where do we go from here? This is the ultimate. Gio asked Coach McGuire about it on their podcast, and I don't know if I can't remember if he referenced the rat poison thing, but that's Leach would have called the fat little girlfriends telling them how great they are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's that now Leach said that immediately in a post game, but he was implying complacency and however you want to say it. And I think and Joey met it head on in terms of I'll be talking about. I've already got a clip, because I think the stuff he does with them on Tuesdays is just about a PowerPoint presentation. We want to lay it. Now I'm not saying it's on slide 17. You'll know diagram 3, but I think there's things up on the wall that they're all looking at, and I think he's got a clip, and it may very well be a clip of Saban talking about rat poison, complacency, that kind of thing.
Here's another one. With Hammond's performance on Saturday, will there be people from other schools trying to lead him away with bigger paychecks?
I can answer that. Joey talked about that too, and Hammond has signed a 2-year contract. Mm-hmm. So get out their wallet. I also think. I mean, there's the clinical answer to that. I also think the kid's really happy here, loves it here, loves the coaches, et cetera, et cetera. It's a cultural fit.
You know what's been so funny to me? And I get it, but there's been the immediate, okay, well, if we don't start him, we're going to lose him. The plan is in place. He knows he's your quarter, like it's his offense next year. Mm-hmm. Yes, if I'm another school and I'm looking at a redshirt freshman, and tampering doesn't exist, wink, wink, and I'm going, they got that guy looks really good on the field. I wonder if we could get him. Would they reach out? I'm sure stuff like that will happen. But
the fact that
is people acting like he hasn't already like, hey, are we going to start paying him now? I know that wasn't this question. I've just seen that. It's like you thought we weren't paying the backup quarterback,
right?
That we weren't in the future of your program.
I mean, the widely circulated rumor a couple of years ago at the Houston Bowl was that Auburn had contacted Baron Morton as the red-shirted backup.
So yes, I'm sure there's interest. I think you'll
Contracts
see
are
him
signed.
around for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.